This workout is a progression for your Movement 101. Your first exercise is your basic squat. Make sure feet are hip-width apart, toes are forward, and every time you squat down, you're pushing your knees out just a little bit. Posture nice and tall at the top. Next up is a tall plank. You'll get into a push-up position with your hands directly under your shoulders, splaying the fingers so you have nice grip on the floor. Pushing that floor away the whole time, your legs are nice and strong and super active, making sure that your rib cage and your pelvis are tilting toward each other, keeping that front body nice and short. We're moving on to split squats, so bring in one knee down and one knee up, making sure that back foot has the toes tucked under so the heel is pointing straight up. Remember to kick the hips back ever so slightly so you're driving through that front heel, pushing the floor away, using your glutes on that front side, keeping that back foot high on its toes the entire time. Moving on to the other side for split squats. Next exercise is a hip hinge, so feet will be hip-width apart with the knees nice and soft, hands behind your head, elbows open nice and wide. Keeping a strong core and knees soft, you're reaching your hips back as if you're trying to reach the back wall, making sure to keep that chin tucked in and posture tall at the top. For our first progression, we're going to add a jump to our squat. So we'll do one squat, one jump squat, back to a regular squat. So alternating that jump. When you land from that jump squat, make sure that you're landing back down into a squat. Next progression for the tall plank is stabilizers. So in a tall plank position, you're going to rotate and reach one arm up toward the ceiling at a time. Keep pushing the floor away, keeping that core nice and strong, making sure that the hips are lifted in a nice strong side plank, and it helps to rotate the feet along with the hips so the hips are stacked when you rotate and you stack the shoulders. The progression to the split squat is going to be some alternating lunges. So this time we start at the top and you're going to step back and drop that back knee into a lunge. Remember to kick the hips back just a little bit and you're driving through that front foot using your glute to come back to that standing position. The progression to the hip hinge will be a kickstand hip hinge, so taking one leg and stepping back just slightly, up high in the toes so all of the weight is on that front leg, and we'll reach with the opposite hand. Same idea here, where the knees are soft and the hips are kicking back like you're trying to reach that back wall. That back leg is going to bend a little bit more, just make sure to stay high on the toes, keeping that torso nice and straight. Switching sides. Our second progression for squats is to add a jump to each one. So you're going to squat, jump up, and land back in a squat. Our second progression for the tall plank is the push-up. You can also do these on your knees or do them elevated so that they are slightly modified. Make sure to keep the hands directly under the shoulders. Hands should be nice and splayed so you have good grip on the floor. Legs are strong. Every time you bend the elbows, you're leading with the chest, not with the chin. And you're going to push the floor away, landing in a nice, strong, tall plank. The next progression for split squats is a split jump. So you're essentially adding a jump to your lunges. And when you lunge back, you're going to jump up and switch your feet. Make sure to drop that back knee. And when you land, you want to land in that split squat position, down nice and low to the floor. Take your time. Use your arms, a little bit of swing to help you lift. Staying nice and light on the feet and trying to land them at the same time. The last progression is a single leg hip hinge, which requires a lot of balance. So just take your time and follow the cues. Sending one leg back, you want to hinge at the hips, keeping the spine nice and straight. That back leg should be turned down, so the toes are turned down toward the floor, and you're focusing on the hips of the standing leg. Really gripping the floor with that foot, keeping everything nice and strong up through the hip, finding a focal point that is down and away. Switching sides and making sure that when you hinge, your leg comes up at the same rate that your shoulders come down, so everything moves together. Awesome job. Workout is complete, and just keep practicing these moves and you'll master the basics.